Hello, everybody, and welcome to Adobe Live. We'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we're streaming today and pay your respects to elders past, present, and emerging. My name is Flynn. Have I said that already? Anyway, let's introduce Kristy. Hi, Kristy. How you doing?
Hello, Flynn. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. You ever do that thing where you introduce yourself or you talk to someone and you say, hey, how are you? And they go, great, how are you? And you go, good, how are you? And you're like, wait, that's too many how are yous.
All the time.
Good.
All the time.
Good.
Definitely done it before.
I did the streaming version of that, I think. It's great to have you back. We had an awesome stream yesterday. I wrote down 5 different tips, and that wasn't even like a tip session. Like, it was more of a kind of let's create together. So very impressive. Let's see if we can top that again.
I love that.
Yeah,
that is cool.
5 things. I'm like, I have to actually try these and test these out. 3 of which I was aware of that I haven't used, and 2 I didn't even know about. I do work for Adobe. So why don't we do a bit of a recap for those that missed out. Don't worry, we're going to give you a bit of a recap, and we're going to have some great stuff today. And if you missed it, you can check it out on replay anyway. What do you think about that?
Sounds great. Okay, cool. Well, I'll get straight into it. First of all, I am wearing the same shirt as yesterday. I did get changed, but I just like to be branded. So
do you not just have like 20 of the pink?
I actually should buy multiple, to be honest, of just the same shirt. I've got 3 pink suits now, and I don't know who else owns 3 pink suits, but that's cool.
Wow,
they get used.
It could be a record. That's awesome.
Exactly. So yesterday we had a really good stream. Basically, what I went over yesterday was I just introduced my brand identity that I was creating. So we were really playing on the idea of just flipping my agency, Pink Pony Creative, into something completely different in a completely different industry. So I thought I'd create a Mexican lounge kind of bar restaurant that was a little bit more upmarket and elegant. I really wanted to play in the idea of the pony and, cowboys, and then I was like cactuses, and then I got onto Mexican. So that's how I came out with Mexican, if you were curious. Pulled together the mood board and had some fun little tricks about InDesign in there as well. So you got to check out yesterday if you missed those. But we just began to draw out the brand mark yesterday, and we talked about using like a bunch of shapes to create your brand mark and to create something with this kind of iconography style brand mark in a way. And it's the combination of the drink and also the horse, and the drink actually ends up forming the blaze, which is on a horse, which is the white strip. We love the blaze.
Yeah.
So you can see the variations in every time I duplicate, I just adjust it slightly to trial different things. And that's the best way to design, basically, is just trial and error and just move through variations as you go and just repeat, duplicate until you find your final design. So we used a few cool tools in here. The mirror technique as well to use and create this. So I just wanted to talk through sort of the next steps briefly about how I then go from here into creating a logo and even the typography styling and the color palette. So when it comes to pairing it with typography, I very much focus on typography that is a similar weight or style to the brand mark that sort of feels connected and it feels similar. So I'm going to come down to here where we can see an overview of a few different typefaces that I was trialing when I was pulling this together. So something like this does actually look good. I'm not saying it doesn't, but it doesn't feel as balanced as I wanted it to. So I brought in a slightly thicker, sort of bolder typeface, and I ended up adjusting it to make it customized. So also go look at that if you missed it yesterday.
Oh, the N. Loved it.
Yeah, the N, and we've got the sort of mirrored effect going on with the downward of the N and then the K as well. Yep. So I was really happy with this final design. So when it comes to things like color palette, I'm going to kind of whiz through these. It obviously would take a lot longer to develop a color palette, but I start off with the base of what I've pulled together from the mood board as a base. The client would sign it off. They're like, yeah, this is where I want to go. And then I'd pull together the colors as a bit of a base palette. So we're just I've kind of got them here as, this is kind of where I was heading to initially. we've got our base palette. And then from there, I would make variations of that palette that I find that would work quite nicely. And you can do this alongside a bunch of logos. And the reason why I think this is really important is because it just gets you thinking about the overall look and feel, what happens, how do these colors look when it's combined with the logo? And you just, again, trial and error, just try different things. I actually found, I wanted it to feel luxurious. And I trialed a black and a pink, but I felt like the black was too deep. So that's when I would go in and make another variation. Let's actually just play around with this here. And you can actually adjust this black from here, make it a nice navy, starting to look good. And you just trial and error.
Yeah.
Try it with a green. That green is actually probably too vibrant for what I was going for. So you just sort of soften it out.
So you're looking as well at the legibility of the logo, I assume, on that background color, that the pink pony on the green background. Does that halo effect thing? I don't know what the technical term is for that.
Yes. Yeah. I think, this comes with experience too. You start to understand that contrast and readability of your brand is so important. And we've all done it. Like, I look back at brands that I've created years ago and I was like, oh, that color palette is fine. But the contrast and the actual use of the brand and the color palette wouldn't actually withstand a website,
Right.
Printed graphics. So you've got to think further in advance to what you just see here. So that really comes into play with colors and just making sure everything feels cohesive, balanced. I actually really liked the yellow as well. It had this feel of that kind of Mexican inspired design, which I really like. So I just played around with a bunch of color palettes. And then you start to bring it across when you're thinking about, obviously, the other logos, suite variations. We've got different lockups with the logo. And I think that's really important when we're designing brand identities, because we've got to have various ways that we can have our logo positioned. As the perfect example, let's just jump into mockups and showcase. Oh, that's a big image. Like our vertical logo here, which could be the secondary logo, would work really nicely on tall glasses in this restaurant. So you've got to think about where it's all going to be placed and how it's going to be placed. So we start to build out our color palette. And then what I always start to do with brands, while I'm still refining the logo, the color palette, I actually build out like a bit of an aesthetic, because I think you'll find that when you do this, I do it all at the same time holistically, so that you can get that overall feeling, rather than just saying, this is the logo, then let's do the color palette, then let's do the typography styling. You're doing it in a way where you can like think about the whole brand as a feeling, rather than just these different aspects.
That's really cool. So you're thinking about it. So it's not such a waterfall kind of approach here. You're kind of going back and forth a little bit. You're kind of mocking up a bit of this is like almost like a billboard or a magazine ad or something like that, like an editorial kind of layout. Whereas you've got these like Instagram maybe shots down the bottom, or maybe something for their website that like, oh, this is what it looks like in situ. And you're just bouncing kind of back and forth between that. Is that right?
That is exactly it. So really as an example, you might find you've pulled together a bit of an idea about what the aesthetic looks like. And I think it's important to think about the aesthetic, like I said, as a whole. So you might find you've pulled together a few sort of styles and like maybe some social media posts, a bit of a billboard. But what if the blue isn't the right blue? Then what do? Then we can trial, or maybe instead of the blue, it's the green, but the green is too light. So maybe we do try and adjust it and have it as the black. And then you can just continue making variations to trial and error. Literally just give things a go, see if they work. Maybe it's a variation in font. Let's just bang out a beautiful serif here, and seeing which works and which doesn't work. And that's the best way to go. And I like doing it this way, because you're seeing it from an overview rather than just the typography styling or just the color palette.
Right.
You're seeing it as a whole.
Kind of seeing it in situ, like you're sort of seeing it in practice. Like, okay, if I had to design this ad and I was given this branding kit, how hard would it be as a designer to make this look really nice?
Exactly. Yeah. So I feel for me and my team, like this is such a benefit beneficial way of creating a brand identity. So I thought today what we'll do, we've somewhat talked about the color palette, typography, styling, and how we get to these results. I thought I'd showcase some ideas on how to create cool mock-ups and create a menu design for our beautiful lounge,
Awesome.
our cantina and lounge, actually. Thanks to ChatGPT, it helped me with that name.
Makes it easy, doesn't it?
Okay, cool. So starting off with, let's just create two icons that I can have on my menu design. So my menu design is going to be all about cocktails. So I'm going to quickly start to map out some cocktail glasses. So in a similar way, I'm going to be kind of using a few techniques that I utilized yesterday, and I'll showcase how these work. So if you are beginning your design journey or even partially through it, and you're trying to learn how to create icons, or you want to start custom drawing your own icons, because I think there's a lot of designers out there who'll just head to iStock, head to Adobe stock, and utilize the things that have, or the sort of icons that have already been created.
Yep.
And there's a lot of benefit in creating your own, because you can create them on brand in your own style. It's actually not quite centered that, but that's cool.
I should mention as well, we are live. So if anybody has any questions for Kristy as we're going along, drop them in chat, I'll pass them on. We like questions, so throw them in if you've got any as we're rolling along.
We do like questions. We love them. Yeah, so we're just going to use those shapes to draw out our cocktail glasses. We're going to use now the offset path. Love the offset path. Just to map out the liquid in the glass, which we did a little bit of yesterday when it came to...
Yeah, it was a really cool trick. I liked it.
Yeah, so we're sort of using similar techniques as we did yesterday, just to create these icons. So it's all about the shapes. If you can break down your icons, illustrations into shapes, they will be stunning.
Lovely. I like that.
Yeah, so you're already looking like a nice cocktail. Let's create a nice little bit of lime. I do love a good copy and then paste in place as well.
Oh, me too. I'm not going to admit how long it took me to realize that was a thing. It might have been during a live and I was like, wait, what?
You're like, you can do that? Honestly, I feel like there's so many tools, techniques, and you're just never ending with your knowledge and your learning.
It's funny when one little thing kind of somehow you missed it in like a decade or plus like of designing, and you're like, what? Wait, what? How did you do that? And they're like, how did you not know that? But I feel like we all have a little gap somewhere. There's a couple little things that you just, for some reason or another, you haven't seen someone put into practice.
I know exactly what you mean. I recently, if you follow me, posted a video about how, which I did not know this, that in Illustrator you can treat these variables as a calculator. So if you wanted to go 26 plus 5, I didn't know that until my junior designer told me.
You can do it with so many. I didn't know it either. I think it was towards the end of last year, because you could do it in. Someone did it with a canvas size. And it was a bit of a, hey, wait, what? I can actually typed in ×3 to make it 3 times as large. And then someone, I think it was in Photoshop, and someone said, you can do this anywhere that you put in a dimension in Photoshop or something like that. So
honestly, wild.
Crazy.
I really had no idea. So I'm just making ourselves a nice little lemon here. I don't know if anyone, I'm sure there's people out there that this will hit home. When I use the Pathfinder tool, I know what they do, but I just click them all until I find my perfect result.
Yeah,
which is also why I like the Shape Builder tool, because I find that my precision in this Shape Builder tool is a lot more accurate than, say, the Pathfinder, just because I can feel like I can just navigate it so much easier.
Right.
Let's go in, and I'm just going to duplicate this in case we use this little lime again. I'm actually going to we're going to try and make the lime look as though he is sitting on the cocktail glass here. Again, shape builder tool. Yes, we love the shape builder tool. I just want to move this line over. Yeah, nice. All right, let's just add a couple of little details in here so you can really finish. I'm going to add maybe a couple of little ice cubes. Really cute.
Normally we will often, for some reason, going live at lunchtime, it's lunchtime here, we'll often do streams. For some reason, it's always about food or drinks, and getting super hungry about halfway through every stream lately.
Honestly, I'm not surprised. In our office, we all just love to eat. So by about 10 o'clock, we're like, okay, we're ready for lunch.
Snack time, yeah.
Snack time.
The day goes too fast if you eat lunch that early, though.
It does.
I mean, sorry, too slow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you're already one step ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to select these dots. I think the thing with, details like iconography, if you're creating it for a brand, is all about adding little additions that'll just like improve it, make it feel somewhat like its own. What am I doing here? I just completely zoned out. I'm trying to, increase the weight a little bit. And I think little additions, even like in this case, the little ice cubes, the little, what would you call them? Sparkle? Fizzy dots.
Oh, right.
I was like,
because it's like
what are these
carbonated drink. Yeah, what are they called?
Yeah, that's the one. Okay. Let's create one more beveragino.
Just to jump on top of that comment there, you sort of said to kind of make it its own. So give it a little bit more personality than kind of this perfect group of shapes. Because it's interesting that you said that, because you're like, cool, you can break anything down to shapes and then create it. But you didn't stop with the glass and the lime. You kind of just, you want to add a little bit more personality to make it your own, or make it the brand's own, like just a little bit extra.
Definitely. And I also feel like that's how you can add a whole lot of new value to what you do by creating your own icons, your own custom illustrations for brands, because they're custom created, basically. Just trying to decide what I want to do with the base of the cup, really.
It's going to be an old-fashioned or something.
That's the one. You've got it.
Gosh, it's my favorite.
You've got it. I'm quite a big. I love wine. Wine's my go-to. If I was at this the Pink Pony bar, I would have a wine.
Would it be white or red?
It would be white, and I love a Sav. Not gonna lie, when I was at Adobe Max, and I would ask for a Sav, everyone was like, "What? What?" I think with my accent, they did, and then I was like, "A Sauvignon Blanc."
Did you have to try your best at an American accent to get what you needed?
That actually happened a lot at Starbucks, because I think with my accent, and I couldn't say some of the words, it was tough. I find be like, what?
I find that when I'm over there, I get more like Australian. I don't know what that is. Like I say word, I'm like g'day, and I'm like, I haven't said g'day in 2 years. What is going on?
I feel like it's like you're more exotic, when you go overseas and you've got a different accent. They're like, wow, where are you from?
Yeah.
They're like, are you from Australia? And I'm like, close, but no. Yeah, so I honestly, this is quite a good little task. If you are wanting to improve your icons, just make a few cocktails.
It's cool.
It really does help with your shape building and your shape builder tool, ironically. Let's just add a couple more of these bad boys, these little bubbles, just to make it look themed, unique.
A bit of texture, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Suggestion of texture.
Perfect. I actually think he was too big for. Oh, All right, we're almost finished with our little cup here. Something as well that I'll quickly mention. When we're creating illustrations or icons for brands, I will often create them in a way where it is, well, I do create them in a way where it's cohesive with the logo. So if there's elements from the logo that I feel like could also work, or even elements in the typography and the color palette, you would then go through and see if you can intertwine those elements. It could be little things like, you've got your dots within the logo, so I want to keep them in a similar weight. Same with the line work. I would like the line work to be, I wouldn't be pairing, as an example. I'm just going to use this one. If I made the line work for this really light, it doesn't actually cohesively match my logo and brand mark design because the weight of the line is too light. So it's all about like thinking about the brand identity, the visual identity as an overall holistic view.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So the weights are kind of similar. I don't know, when you blur your eyes a little bit in the shapes, they're all kind of occupying the same amount of space, that sort of thing.
Totally. Yeah, that's the one. Even to go as far as you could, with the fill there and even the bolder typography, I could look at seeing if I could make something within here solid as well to balance out the wine glass.
Right.
Little tips like that can really help elevate a design. But I think in this case, I'm going to keep them actually as I see them here, maybe even just a little bit. I do love just anything bold. Let's change this here. Yeah, these are looking cute.
They are.
Cute. Cute little cocktail. All right. And funnily enough, if I come down here, I've made a set.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so you can see designing them, developing them, and then you can just start to recreate more and roll them out and just keep using those circles and shapes. And I made these quite bold to match the line work and the line width in the logo. So these turned out really cute.
They look refreshing.
The way they do, to be honest, they do. And when you work, if I was to go and be pretty happy with those and expand them, I always keep the original in case I need to go back and change them, adjust them. So I'm always keeping that original variation. Yep. So they're looking pretty cool. So I think now we can actually go in and maybe start to create a menu and then apply that to a mock-up.
That sounds
cool. We're going to use Firefly to actually create the mock-up. Because it's so powerful. It is so powerful, and I want to show you how to use it.
That's awesome. And yes, because in yesterday's stream, you mentioned that a lot of the imagery that you used was Firefly, and I was actually pretty surprised. Like they were really, it would have been very difficult to pick which one was and which one wasn't. But are all of these Firefly?
All of these are Firefly. Even this one here.
Yeah.
The tequila plant. Which I didn't even know was a thing until I went to Mexico and it was in a tequila plant.
Is that what you're calling it, or is it actually that's where tequila comes from?
Well, they've got tequila fields, and I'm pretty sure it's just a tequila plant. I went to Mexico this one time in Mexico, and we went to a bar in a tequila field. So there you go. It does come from the plant, I think. I'm pretty sure.
I just checked it out. Yep, blue agave. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that
terribly.
But there you go. See, we learn things. We learn about shortcuts. We learn about branding. We learn about weights, and we also learn about tequila. Here on
tequila fields. The important stuff. That's the one. All right. So now I'm going to create my menu for I'm going to specifically do the drinks menu here.
Yep.
For things like print, especially when it comes to something that needs to be laid out really beautifully, I always go into InDesign. I think InDesign often gets, would you say, missed? I think a lot of people don't use it as much as probably they should. Use my guides. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's much less used, I would say.
Yeah.
It's incredibly powerful. InDesign has been around for a very long time. And it's pretty amazing what you can do. But yes, I do think that it is missed quite a lot.
Yeah, hugely. And I think like I started out in my university degree pretty much in InDesign. Like I don't even remember really using, you can see those guides there that I just pulled together, really using Illustrator as much as probably I do now.
Right. Was it a lot of editorial design that you were learning?
Yeah, heaps of editorial, which is interesting. It was a graphic design and animation uni degree, but yeah, so much editorial. Every time I open a new panel, it opens on my other screen, so apologies if you can see me looking over.
Your dual screen, it pops it over there. Yes, I'm aware of that. I'll just throw out a question that I think Kristy will be getting to, but thanks for the question, Kristen. I'm always amazed at how Firefly can be used to create such unique images. Can you give us your best tips and tricks to generating the perfect imagery for a branding project?
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah, we are getting to that. I'm definitely going to show some stuff. So I think as well, it's one of those things you don't realize how much you could use it until you start to dive into it. And then you realize the possibility and you're just like, wow, it's very cool. I can't actually remember what typography I was going to be using. Have I lost it? Yeah, let's use this one. I'm going to actually go for the Tiller, the font that I originally played around with for the logo. Cool. I'm actually going to use Tiller here. Dimmy.
Right. So, question around fonts. When you've used so you're reusing the font that you have used for the logo in like the body copy, would say. Is that typically what you'll do?
No.
Right.
Not typically. I think people think that you have to have or to have to use the same font or the same typography that you've used in your logo and your styling, but not necessarily. You can definitely have a totally different typeface or, custom typeface for your logo than you use in your styling. But I think in this case, when I was creating this, I'm not necessarily showing you the whole process. I certainly played around with a few fonts, but I did find that the heading, that was the perfect heading type. You can always make that heading type slightly more, hold a bit of personality, I feel. That's the sort of where you want the hierarchy. You want to read that heading font first, then down to your body copy. And then I liked the idea of having a sort of more decorative font for highlights, for slightly more unique pieces of copy. All right. So when we've got actually I'm going to remove that full stop. We've established a bit of a type. Oh, sorry, team. Almost lost you there. When we've established a bit of a typography styling selection in InDesign, you can actually go through and create character styles. Paragraph styles.
Would you mind just, for people that might not be familiar with InDesign, explain what a paragraph style or a character style might be?
Yes, of course. So in terms of InDesign, having, especially with big documents, multi-page documents or something like this, where you're going to be reusing those same styles across the board, where there might be instances where if I then apply a character style to something or a paragraph style, I want to be able to go in and adjust it. And then for InDesign, if you specify, actually I want to change my body copy to this font, it'll then change the whole entire document, whatever is set to that that style. Did I word that correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I think that makes a lot of sense. Just in our mission to maybe convert some people to firing up InDesign for some of those projects. It's a massive time saver if you're working with multiple documents. Something like a menu is perfect.
It is.
Because what happens if someone says, we need the body copy changed, and it's a multi-page document, like say instead of 1-page menu, which we'll probably do today because of timing.
Yeah.
You know, what if it's like a 20-page document with different drinks, seasonal things, the chef's changing the menu once a week and stuff, and you're the in-house designer, or maybe you're working for the agency, or you're a freelancer and you have that client. You want to make that as efficient as possible, because you're also the spell checker, like checking grammatical things. But yeah, you can set yourself up for just amazing success by setting the document up the correct way.
Yeah, exactly. You can even see there when I've brought in the descriptions, details for this side of the menu, you know, I can select those headings that I want to be changed into my heading font. And then because I've got my paragraph styles set up, I can just go in and tap heading font and it will adjust it, which is awesome. Magic. So really easy to use. Yeah, it saves lots of time. Sometimes, I'm not going to lie, I can get a little lazy and not even set them up for something like this.
Oh, totally.
I would just do a classic copy and paste. But hey, we're all guilty of that, you know? Just got to do whatever works for you.
That's right. Yeah, of course, sometimes it's a project. You don't need to do it. But
yeah,
it's definitely a good thing to know that it can save you time.
Oh, for sure. All right, I'm just going to start to just map out my menu here.
All right, I got a question for chat as well while this is up.
Go for it.
I just want to see what everyone's go-to drink would be here, and if
I like that.
because I'm leaning towards that aged tequila old fashioned personally. What about you, Kristy? Do you have a favorite that's on there?
Ooh, probably I'd go with the mojito.
Yeah,
I think I would be all about the mojito. That would be me. Nice. Love a bit of refreshing drink, really.
Yep.
I'm actually gonna, let's just extend our menu over a little bit. Oh no, I'm going to go back. We're backtracking. We're backtracking.
Are you just thinking about the, like, it's not the gutter when it's in the middle, but the gap between the paragraphs there? Is that what you're playing with?
I'm sort of eyeing up, like, in terms of because this one is quite long as well, this heading, I'm trying to see where I can balance it. I almost need the description to be slightly longer, but then, you know, you get your orphan down here, and we don't want an orphan. But there's multiple different ways you can kind of approach that as well. I'm just thinking. We're actually just going to pull it back here. And then I'm actually going to use this as a bit of a base.
This is when if I'm doing a personal project, I'll be like, maybe I don't need aged in front of tequila old fashioned, and I'll just cheat.
Not going to lie, I did do that for this to make sure everything would fit.
The difference is get a client project and like,
oh, for sure. For sure. No, that happens. And, you know, we've many a times dealt with client projects that we might be working on packaging, and there's so much copy and so much information that has to be on these packaging, these menus, and it's just heavy with copy. So it's tough. Like, personal projects are great because you might just be like, look, I just don't need that. Let's just cut that out. But I think that's the difference as well between your passion projects and your real clients, basically, because you've got those projects that potentially are a little bit more difficult because you have to add these things and you can't just not put them in there, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
All right. I don't want to go too far with this and play around with it because I want to show you some Firefly stuff, but I'll just showcase how I brought these icons in. Now, in this case, I'm actually going to use the libraries. We're going to quickly use the library assets here for just to ensure that we're taking it across to InDesign really easy.
Nice.
Actually, I'm going to make it. I always talk about my assets as though they are a person. Right. Does anyone else do that?
I often say like, oh, this little guy or this little fella or something.
Yes, all the time. That's fine, There we go. And then he's updated in the assets. Let's pull him over into your library. Where is my assets? Mexican pony, I've called it. Perfect. Okay, cool. And then we can bring that in. And that's when we're going to use our assets there. Now, I haven't quite finished this, but again, funnily enough, I did a design earlier.
Oh, amazing.
Very prepared. You've got to be with lives.
That came in really handy yesterday, didn't it?
It did. It really did. So you can see I've just played around with the variation. Everything, hierarchy is really important, making sure your eyes, targeting those headings first, then dragging down through the copy. And I really liked the little icons at the top there as well.
Sorry, just a quick jump on with icons and keeping the consistency of the weight going through. Do you expand appearance before you bring them into another document or put them into your cloud to keep the line work consistent?
Yeah, that's a really good question. In this case, I expanded it before I put it into CC libraries.
Yeah.
But you could definitely utilize it in a way where you're keeping that just as a stroke. But I do think it can get quite complex in the way that you can actually see some inconsistencies here, unless it's just my where these dots actually look thicker than this, I think, because they might have a different stroke on them. So that's where, and then if I made this smaller, he's going to actually look pretty standard next to that one. Yeah. Like I think you can get inconsistencies because maybe within the illustration, there's different variations of stroke. And so that can be difficult if you're trying to then resize it and change the stroke. So if anything, I find it more efficient to actually perfect it and then expand it and then bring it into other documents.
Yeah.
But yeah, so say we've done our menu design or our print collateral for our client, and then we want to go in and showcase it as a mock-up. So thanks to trusty Firefly now, we can go in and make these mock-ups. So something that I find quite useful is I actually go in and have a look at the inspiration. Sometimes if I'm finding like this image, it looks pretty realistic, she looks quite realistic. I might even see if I can find something that I find would be a good base as a good starting point. If there's not anything, you can go in and just generate an image. So in this case, wow, look at that one. There's some pretty amazing stuff now. I'm just flicking through Firefly.
Also a really great way to understand prompting as well. So
yes.
That's like a gallery. If you don't know that you can submit what you've typed in and what's come up and said, hey, this is really cool. Maybe Adobe wants to feature this.
Yes.
And this is, I don't know who at Adobe, because I've submitted a bunch and none of them have been accepted. But the prompt game is pretty strong, and you'll notice a lot of them are quite long. So it is interesting to sort of see the descriptive words that seem to yield the best results. So I would say that's tip number one, because that's a really good way to kind of look at other people's work.
Yeah, and that's where if you don't understand prompting, it can help, which is why I actually sometimes do start with that. The other thing is you do have to start to understand that every word can change the way that the result can look. So typically, I only really am trying to go for photograph style images. So having the word photograph, although it seems obvious in there, can actually really allow it to look like a photograph, and then use words like realistic. Potentially, it's a bit of trial and error, but I'm just going to type a few words and see what we can get out. And I put an A4 paper as well because I wanted a base to start with. I'm actually going to go light pink A4 paper. And then I'm going to go, I've already put top view at the front as well. So you can also incorporate potentially your angle. If it's got harsh shadows, I'm going to put harsh shadows. Let's see what it comes out with. And then I'm imagining I would like to kind of theme it to my brand identity. So in this case, I have the light pink paper, but because my brand identity has that dark contrasting blue, what if it's on a dark blue or dark navy, I'll call it, background. And then I'm going to add in my elements that I want on my table, we'll say. So maybe margarita. Oh my God. Rita.
Spelling coming in again.
Don't come at me for my spelling, people. Let's have a chili, a lime. And let's just see how this comes out. So it's quite specific about what I've asked it to do. And then I always click photo if I want it to look like a photo.
Yeah.
Although I've got photograph in there, having the selection of the content type photo is key. Perfect. I mean, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Pretty good. So the A4, because I was going to ask you what the A4 was doing, because I've never used that before. But it's literally, you're saying I want an A4 piece of paper.
Yeah, because basically I'm trying to tell it to what I want to create a mock-up with this included. So if I can generate an image where it looks quite realistic in terms of the mock-up, perfect, ideal. I actually really like the harsh shadows.
That left one.
And something, they're quite beautiful. You know, something like this, obviously the drink's right bang in the middle, but
the drink is interesting. It's in the middle of all of them. That's quite funny.
But, you know, something with your prompts. So I use this a lot for brand identities, or my team does as well. When they're all the same.
Exactly.
When we create, I'm like, what? When we create brand identities for clients that don't really exist right now, they're just starting their business. This can be incredible because you're basically telling it, you're telling Firefly to create something that doesn't exist, but you can still make it really on brand. So don't be scared of AI and Firefly, people. Get into it. There was quite a good one there that I downloaded too, so I will potentially use that. But where I was getting at with this whole story, so recently when I was creating prompts for some designs, I kept adding the word, and I'm going to show you, and I wonder if it's going to do it. I kept adding the word realism.
Right.
Now, every time I did that, because I wanted it to look realistic, every time I did that, I'll see if this spits out the image I think it's going to. It would create a design that looked like art. Maybe it's because I got the word photograph. I was almost doing this because I thought realism was enough, but realism is actually a style of painting. So I was telling it the wrong prompt. It might do it here. And I was getting so frustrated. I was like, why? Also, these are actually all right. Why is it giving me every time something that looks painted?
Yep.
And I couldn't understand because even though I had photo as a content type, so where I'm getting at is just your prompts are key. So like they can really change the way something is created. I actually quite like that. It's quite cool.
Pretty great.
It actually does look painted, to be honest.
That's super interesting. I hadn't considered that. That if you're using a word that's a descriptive word, but it's part of the themes, and a lot of those themes are to the right if you haven't seen them. So realism is probably one of those categories over there. Would be my guess.
Definitely.
But yeah, that's a great insight.
Yeah, it's a good one. So play around with your prompts. Like one word could be changing the whole thing. So these are a couple that now we've gone into all of my other ones. A couple that we created today. Let's go with, actually, I don't know which one I want to pick. I'm just going to go something simple. Let's pick this guy here and add him in. And this is where I can literally just, so it's one of those things. I think some images, the harder you look, the more unrealistic it might look. Yep. But on first glance, it's pretty accurate.
Definitely.
So let's drop in our menu design. And we're going to...
aspect ratio pretty close. It's pretty good.
It's not bad. Change the opacity there. And then obviously you want to just make the adjustments and remove anything that's unwanted you don't need. So I'm actually just going to... Let's select... we got the wrong layer selected. I'm just wanting to select this piece of paper. Not bad. And then let's just mask that out. And voila, we have a beautiful menu. Easy. I'm just going to flatten this because just say I wanted to, let's just save it. Save this guy. I think I already did save it, to be honest. Let's go back. And as an example, I'll show you what you can do. We might be playing around with, we've gone all over the show. Here we go. So let's actually add in our beautiful menu into this square here, just to give us like the overall effect of how it all looks when it's come together. Stunning.
So quick.
Look at that.
Yeah, looks great.
It's amazing. I like that we've got on-brand chilies. They're pink.
Yeah.
Perfect. You know, you could go in and adjust the chilies if you wanted to make them red, just to make it look that much more on brand. But you can see like how it can impact the overall feeling. It feels Mexican. It's the chilies. It's the wine. It feels like a bar, all through Firefly. So it's pretty powerful.
It's really cool. I love the prompt game tips and things like that. It's super cool. I also, before I forget, I really like the clipping mask that you've done above the one that you just placed, the like editorial ad kind of thing. Really like that because we're talking about this window, like stained glass window, I think in the last stream, and having that extra edge that's still part of the clipping mask, I think just works super, super, super well.
Yeah, and you'll notice, again, this is thinking about your brand identity holistically in the way that your elements should tie into each other. That's how you're going to get cohesion. Cohesion, what a good word. And that's how you can elevate a brand identity and make it that much better. You know, maybe in part of your brand guidelines, it's actually taken from the logo is this window frame. And this window frame becomes something that actually appears a lot, you know, throughout your brand identity. Yeah. Maybe you might have, I'm just going to quickly, going to put together, you might have Facebook posts that, you know, hold your images, your photographs in a unique way. Just by simply, I'm just going to quickly do this. You know, you've got these unique frames that you can use as just a different way to be on brand for that business.
How did you crop that in? Was that just like Command 7? Like you just actually doing a clipping mark there, or?
No, this is actually just literally pasted on top.
Right.
Just for the instance of this.
Yeah.
And I just changed the color of it just so that it looks like it's part of the back. You know, a little
that's what's
tip
throwing me. I'm like, oh, there's some crazy trick happening. It's like, no, it's just the same color as the background, so it makes it look like a window.
It's just the same color. It's just the same color. Something that we started to introduce, I can see that little dip there is not meant to be there. That we started to introduce into some of our brand identities, and it can depend, is what we call image frames. And this is where a brand might have a specific way of framing images. So in this case, what you could do, if I wanted to have like templates for Instagram, Facebook posts, whatever it might be, you could create templated image frames. So this becomes an image frame so that you could drop in any image. Let's just go behind. Are you still there, Flynn?
Oh, yes, I'm still here. Sorry, I
was like, the music stopped.
No, just sitting back and watching, like, as we kind of wind down. I was also reading some of the comments in chat, and Johanna was saying this window could inform the actual interior design of the space too.
Exactly, which is why, you know, brand identity goes far beyond, or visual identity far beyond your logo, color palette, pattern, logo, etc. I just said that. It could be image framing. It could be, you know, even brands, you might find that all of their images on their website have rounded corners. That is part of your brand identity, your visual identity. Yeah. It's a visual that you'll consistently see across the board. So all of those details, if you can include them in your design, elevate a brand and make it that much more recognizable. It's like, what is the word? I'm getting lost in my design.
I'm with you. I get it. It's good. It's fantastic.
But you know, it's pretty awesome. As we actually finish up, something that can inspire your Adobe Firefly creativity. This is actually a game that I found from Adobe Max. We played it at Adobe Max.
Okay.
And then I actually turned it into a game that me and my team played one time, which I should bring back more. But this could help you with, if you're trying to learn Adobe Firefly and prompts and how to create them is set yourself a little task. So I said to my team, all right, let's go out and create a dinosaur. And we all created the most random dinosaurs. So you might go in there and let's just do one as the very last little tip that I'm going to, let's do a cyberpunk. Okay, I'm going to go holographic dino. Wings. I want to go fluffy wings.
Fluffy wings on a dinosaur.
So, I mean, test this out. If you want to do a dinosaur, let's see. Fluffy wings and pink. Oh, I don't even know. Let's just keep it at that. Let's see what it spits out. See what kind of dinosaur you make. Then tag Adobe Live and share it.
I'm going to change the thumbnail for this YouTube video to whatever comes up. Yeah.
Oh,
hey, that's not bad.
He's pretty cool. It's just fun. It's quite a cool way to be creative and like test the skills and, you know, on a bike. Let's get really creative as we finish up here.
That's awesome. This should be how we finish all of our streams. Johanna, take note. I like this game.
It's a good game. We played it at Adobe Max, and it was like a competition, and that someone gave us a prompt, and whoever had the best image won.
That's cool.
A badge. I think it was actually really fun. It inspired me. But you know, it just helps with your prompting, descriptions.
Yeah.
You could even play around with like an idea of if you were creating mock-ups, like how can I create a mock-up for a makeup packaging style. Just throw a bunch of words together then.
Well, whatever it is, right? There's no limit to the imagination. So
exactly.
Well, that's awesome. And I wanted to just kind of mention just something for those in the audience. There's this like free creator event thing that's coming up. I wanted to just kind of plug it a little bit because I know that it's free and I know that a lot of people, regulars on Adobe Live, such as yourself, James Barnard and stuff, are doing kind of a bit of talk. Can you give that like a 30-second plug for folks?
Yes, this was the which one was it again? I thought you were going to say it.
I thought it was like the creator thing. Am I just making things up now?
No, you're not. It's for the Designer Boss Summit. I think you'll be talking about. I just wanted to make sure that was the right thing. No, I can plug that for sure.
Go for it.
It's called the Designer Boss Summit. It's happened a few times, and this summit is going to be amazing. We've got made by James Barnard, Abby Connick, incredible designers Liz Mosley, and myself, and we all have about 30 minutes individual sessions. And this one is all about business. Oh my gosh! I think my brain has disappeared today.
It's business stuff. Got it.
Business stuff. Business processes is what it's about. And I'm talking all about your project management system. And especially when you start to grow a team or use contractors, my session is talking about Notion and how to utilize that. And if you do upgrade and purchase the Boss Bundle, you do get my Notion board. Trust me, this thing is not even lying. I'm proud of it. Damn proud of it.
I do love Notion. I use Notion all the time too. Fantastic.
Yeah, I built it out. I have a team, so I know that it works. It's a proven project management system that I use. So
cool.
I'm really proud of it. So definitely go into my link in my bio and sign up. It's free.
Sign up to that thing. I'm signed up for it. It looks really amazing. Lots of fantastic creators, just like Kristy. So I'm sure people here would really benefit from that. We're out of time. So Kristy, as always, love having you on Adobe Live. Cannot wait for the next one.
Amazing. No, it's been an absolute pleasure, Flynn. Loved it.
Thank you. And thank you everybody for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. See you next week.
All right. Bye.